The first one is just really tell us about how you adjusted yourself to life at UVA, life in college. We know that this is a really overwhelming time. So how did you kind of go about this? And anybody can take this as well.
Okay, I guess I can start. So at first when I first got to UVA, I missed home so much. So at first, like, I would FaceTime my parents like every day and just be like, "Hi, what are you guys doing?" And just doing that quick call just to like still get in touch. That helped. Just, and with time, as I got more comfortable, they got less and less frequent. My mom did not like that at all, but anyways, like, they got less frequent. But um, one thing that helped is just like finding clubs for me, finding clubs that I was interested in, things that I like to do besides just going to classes. So, or maybe like just hanging out with the girls at my hall, that helped as well. And I think like with time and joining these clubs, I met a lot of friends that I have today. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah,
Also,
no, definitely. I feel like I'm sorry to interrupt right there. Just quick second. I feel like we all kind of feel the same about this phone call thing where you're just kind of really missing your parents, really missing everything that home is. But they do kind of get less frequent as you start getting used to everything. So definitely share that experience as well. I'm sorry I cut someone off. You can go right ahead.
yeah, just to add to what you were saying, a good resource, what I did is when I was first adjusting, the first thing that I wanted to do was join a bunch of clubs to meet people. And like the best place to find clubs, I would look up organizations at UVA, and then there's like a drop down menu, and there's like different categories like cultural, professional, academic. And yeah, I would just like look through that, and you can press on the link to the club, and then it has the information of like the organization president, so you can just reach out and be like, hey, like, can I join your listserv, which is basically like joining their email list, and then you can go to the interest meetings and stuff like that. So yeah.
And I'll add on that. Okay, so there are a lot of you might be worried like, oh, this semester, maybe this year is going to be a lot different because of COVID. And so apparently, and I'm just now finding this out, as a fourth year, apparently there are like underground secret like hangouts with professors, like what, book clubs and stuff. And so like even this Thursday, as in like 2 days from now, like I'm going to an online, like it's like a discussion about movies with this like media studies professor. I'm not in media studies. I got invited by a friend. So either A, try to make friends with professors, and like apparently they hold like some of these cool discussions like since COVID happened, but none of my professors, or they're just not inviting me. But like if you don't know any of the professors who are holding these types of things, like just ask them, or like be like, hey, have you ever thought about like holding one of these things? And apparently they're super up for it. Or you could just like ask other like friends or classmates and be like, hey, like, have you heard of any of these happening? Because I've been asking around. Apparently this is a very big thing. So don't be shy about it.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I haven't heard about that one either. I mean, I'm honestly new to a lot of things, but that's something new. I'm a rising senior and I haven't heard of that, but I mean, you learn something new every day, I guess. Go ahead, Nusha, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to emphasize making friends with your professors, because I remember the first week of classes, I was kind of still looking into clubs, but there wasn't anything that really fit with me. So I just focused on my classes, and that's okay. Like you're allowed to enjoy your classes. So the first week of classes, I kind of focused on studies, but that way I got closer to my professors, and I really miss my professors from first semester. So yeah, definitely do that. I think Cami was saying something as well.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, UVA has a lot of clubs and a lot of things to do. So for me, it was very hard figuring out what to do and what to like censor my time around. So I really tried to start off with things I did in high school, or just like my hobbies that I already had. So like talking to people in my hall or just anyone around me where I could find these things that struck up conversation and helped me make friends and reach out that way, because I'm not very like talkative. And also just once I started with a base, I was able to spread out even more. So that's just a really good starting point that I know everyone was saying there.
And is just kind of branch out in your first year, try some things that you might not be used to. But again, that might be a transition for you, or it might be just a full-on head start on things you don't know. Just kind of take it your way. Just really make your college experience what you want to make of it, but really do take the opportunity to try things you haven't tried before. We think that this is really one of the most important things to do during your first year. So second question, running into the second question here, we all took really online classes during the probably second half of the semester, and I think that this, how does that go? How does it operate? How do exams work? All this kind of thing. We're not really sure what classes are going to look like fully the semester that's coming up. So can somebody just share their experience on what that has been like and how they adjusted to that? Maybe somebody who hasn't spoken.
Yeah, I can.
Or Grace.
Oh.
Yeah, Grace. Yeah, take
I'm
it, Grace.
offended.
Take it. Yes.
Okay, thank you. No, so I mean, it definitely depends on the teacher's style. Some teachers are more forgiving than others. I mean, it's not about forgiving because like everyone's caught in this situation. I think the vast majority of them are very understanding just as people, and they don't have to be told by UVA or deans or anyone else like, hey, cut these kids a break. So most of my, I mean, it was about half of my classes were actually like at the time that it was supposed to be in SIS that like I had signed up for, that I had done the first half of the semester. Some of my classes were though, like they would record the lecture, they would post it. It was not at a certain time. You watched it in your own time, and then you completed the test and so on at your own pace. And the test, those were always like, you had 24 or 48 hours to do them. So it didn't matter when, like what time zone you're working on, it was all fine. Like you just started the test whenever you could. And within that 24-hour, within that day time block, and then you would have an hour or an hour and 15 minutes or however much time you were usually granted. And so if you had SSTAC accommodations, and SSTAC stands for student, oh my gosh, I honestly don't know what it stands for, but this is so bad of me. I was gonna, okay, I'm sorry, just forget that I said that. Anyway, so basically if you have any sort of problems, always go to your professor first, and if they can't help you, then go to SSTAC. That's how I would boil it down. Even if it's like a time zone thing, like SSTAC can think of things if you need like usually this is an in-person thing, but like someone to kind of like watch you while you take your test, or like whatever it's called. If the professor requires one of those, or like has a weird way of taking tests, like you can always, like, SSTAC finds a way. So okay, thank you, Quinn. Quinn knows. It's Student Disability Access Center. There we go. Wow, 4th year. Anyhow, UVA in general has a lot of acronyms. You don't have to know what they stand for, just know what the thing means. Yeah. I'm just gonna hand it off to someone else because I think we should hear some more stories. Adrian's smiling a lot. I think he has a lot of thoughts on this.
No, sorry, that was meant to I was just laughing. Anyways, yeah, so another resource really that changed for a lot of people when we had to shift towards online was really the office hours. Some professors decided to switch their style of teaching, and there's going to be some classes this fall that will be asynchronous, like what Grace said. But even then, they make themselves really available through office hours, and that includes also the TAs. The TAs are also one of the best resources you could use when trying to like figure something out, and like they're really helpful in terms of like homework and whatnot, especially if the professor is not available. But both of the professors and the TAs are willing to make appointments. You just have to email them, and I think that's really helpful. Another thing I wanted to get into was I guess if you're not staying on grounds or if you're having a full online learning semester, is to really developing a routine so that you're able to follow through and not fall behind. So sometimes for me, for example, it was just, oh, so I had one synchronous lecture last spring semester, and then afterwards I do the readings for one class, and then I do the asynchronous lectures for another class, and so on and so forth. And like I put exercise within that, so just like developing a routine despite not there being any real structure.
Yeah, and adding on to that, a mistake that I made like in the beginning of online courses is I had a few classes where they were just recorded lectures. So I would like put them off and I'd be like, oh, I can just do it. Like, even though it'd be like on a Wednesday, I'd be like, oh, I can just do it on Thursday or Friday. But I don't recommend doing that. Even if it's recorded, I would do it on the same day that you would have the course, just so you don't get behind and like you're not overwhelmed with all the work that's catching up to you.
Another thing that happened last semester was like when the professors were transitioning from in-person to online, they were still like kind of figuring things out. And then some students would give them suggestions on like online resources that they didn't know about. And they were super open to just kind of using those resources. And I think even next semester that might end up happening. So just know that if something's inconvenient and you know a better way to do it, then you can suggest it to your professor. And also for exams, I think Cam Scanner is going to be your best friend. Like I've used Cam Scanner so much last semester. So just if you didn't know about that, that's another thing.
Yeah, just a quick addition to that, like a lot of, especially if you're taking math classes like that are online, like calculus in a sense, they now use like they use Cam Scanner on your phone, and and especially for exams and quizzes. So that's best to have available as well.
Another
Yeah,
example.
no,
Ooh, I just keep forgetting.
sorry, go ahead again. Just filling in the gap. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say another exam format that I experienced at least was actually proctored exams, where we had to log in, get on Zoom, put your sound on, show them your surroundings to make sure you don't have anything. And yeah, it was an experience. So some classes might have that, especially like biology classes. If any of you plan on taking them, they definitely probably will have proctored exams like that. So.
Yeah. Of all of these, which I think are all like crucial, one of the ones, or the ones I would echo, are first downloading Cam Scanner. I mean, again, like I don't know where each one of you is going to take these classes, but I think that it's still going to be a great resource to kind of turn your stuff in, and there's a really large chance that you're going to need it. And another thing that I want to echo is, and Quinn just typed it in the chat, is feel free to send us any questions to either one of us, or to any of us. Really, we're here to answer these questions for you. We're not really here to like talk about us and these kinds of things. We want to make this as useful for you as we can. So definitely, if you have any particular questions that we want or that you want answered just now, feel free to type them in the chat or send them privately to anybody in the panel. So third question, and I think we're about to roll into the smaller group discussion. So hopefully everybody can share their advice on this one. And it's, what would you tell yourself if you were a first year again? And again, anybody can take this. Hopefully we can all answer this.
I can start. The first thing I guess I would tell myself, it's relax. Like I know it's like nerve-wracking with different classes and meeting everyone, and although it might seem like everyone around you already has friends, it's okay if you haven't made your friend group yet. To be honest, it wasn't until like the second semester that I had like my group of friends or like knew more people like closely. So just relax, take your time. It's okay to like have a little bit of a hard time in classes at first. It's a different system. It's like completely different scenario. So yeah, and reach out to resources, because like at least like for us greeters, like we're here for you. So if you need anything throughout the semester, not just in orientation and now in the summer, feel free to reach out. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely echo on the reach out to resources. Everyone who comes to UVA probably had a really successful academic background, so it's hard to come in and find yourself maybe academically struggling or having to study harder than normal. So I would definitely tell myself like reach out, because I'm finding myself as a fourth year learning things that could have definitely made my first year better. So do not be afraid. Honestly, everyone is in the same mindset. We're just faking it till we make it. That's literally the motto of UVA: fake it till you make it. So reach out to anyone you can. Literally everyone is ready to help, no matter how mean they may look.
All right. Maybe Anusha, how about you? What's something you would tell yourself as a first year? Maybe it doesn't matter if it's not unique. You can definitely like echo something that Cami said, for example. I think that we all kind of share a lot of the same experiences in our first year and deal with kind of the same troubles. But what would be one thing that you would tell yourself?
Definitely what Victoria said about relaxing. I feel like I was constantly in learning mode. Like I was just looking at everyone around me and trying to kind of fit in, because that's the first instinct you have, is to like be like fit in and do what everyone else is doing. But I would tell myself to relax, and it's okay. You don't have to copy everything that everyone's doing. You can just take it at your own pace.
Yeah, and also personally, what I would say is probably like, in addition to what you guys have already said about like resources and stuff, I would tell myself not to be afraid to like ask for help and like reach out to people for help. I think it can be really helpful to also find like a mentor or someone older who can help you like with finding resources and with any questions that you have. Definitely, I would also like advise myself and I advise you guys to take advantage of office hours, because I think first semester I kind of like didn't really know. I mean, I knew about it, but I didn't take it as seriously. I was just like, oh, I don't need that. But like it helps so much in college, because especially in like big lectures where you're not asking questions as often. Um, Office hours helps like a lot. And the final thing I would say is to definitely get out, try to like push yourself out of your comfort zone, because that's when I think a lot of opportunities present themselves to you. Like I think, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that as well. Like, when it comes to office hours, these office hours are so valuable, especially when writing essays, just because like this is your personal one-on-one time, so that you can discuss like what your essay is about and everything. That's just quite specific, but I realized how valuable that was to me, especially in I took a political theory class my first semester, and there was sort of no guidance. So talking to the TAs and the professors lets you bounce off ideas and brainstorm better. But another thing really for me was like I would tell myself is that you really should go out there and try new things. But it also gets burdening. But going just to events, whether or not that would just this semester would it be webinars or some other things that really just like to discuss new interesting topics, like I feel like that would help like broaden your college experience, because I feel like that's one of the most valuable things is just really learning new things and hearing it from interesting professors and other people involved in grounds.
Yeah, I think we have still a couple of people to hear from if you want to say something.
Also for me, I guess going off of what you guys said, I will definitely tell myself like chill out, like just like calm down, like just go with the flow, like just go as you go. And like what you were saying, like I cannot stress it enough how like essential or like helpful office hours can be. Like for my statistics class, like before we went online, everybody like would go and there were like people sitting on the floor and all the time because it was full. But when we're like online, not a lot of people went, so I feel like you can take advantage of that, so you can have like more one-on-one time with, like TAs or professors. And it's definitely like important just not to like do well in the class, but also like you're allowed to like make connections with your professors, and I feel like that's definitely key.
What I'm gonna say is like feel like you can ask questions in class, because that gets the professor to know your name, because like you're zooming in, so like they see your little name. which is better than just knowing your face. So like maybe, I mean, it's not better, but like, you know, because they'll know your name, but B, also you'll feel more comfortable. Like even if you're like, oh, this is a stupid question, or you don't see other people asking questions, it's kind of the same thing as like people not going to office hours. Like if you're the only one asking questions, like you'll feel more confident about it, rather than like, I know I was in this neuroscience class and I was like, I don't know this. No one was asking any questions. I'm like, oh, like everyone gets it. Like, but the fact of the matter was like everyone was just as confused as me. They just didn't feel confident enough to ask questions. So this allows you, it almost like changes your mentality about the class. Like it gives you room to grow, where it's like you can say, oh, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to like get more comfortable with the material than just like to sit and stare at the page of notes that you've written and be like, oh my gosh, that's a lot, you know. Especially with this semester being online, like it's really important to allow yourself space to grow and to not be to be like, okay, it's okay that I'm feeling overwhelmed. Like that's normal, right? Because you don't see other people panicking around you.
Yeah, definitely. And at least for me, just ending this kind of question here, I echo everything that everyone has said. I think that I can relate to most of them, if not all of them. But I think the most important one is just really reach out if you think you need something, if you think you need support about anything. You would be impressed about how many people are there to help you, and people who have been in your situation, people who, you know, are just far away from home. It's just a completely different culture. It's really overwhelming, and there's people who have been in your shoes and are willing to help you. So just definitely reach out. I can vouch that everybody in this panel here would do that for you. So again, feel free to reach out to us, if not anyone else, because there's a lot of people that are willing to talk about things, even though you might not think that that's the case.